Hi Gilles, how are you doing these days?
I'm okay. I stay at home, as almost always.
What are you doing there with your old mobile?
Trying to download a contact tracing app. Elderly persons with weak lungs belong to the high risk group, so I thought I'd better get this thing.
It won't work. Your mobile is too old and you're a puppet.
Okay then. I also suspect these apps to constitute just another feature of the societies of control. Remember, Felix and me talking about electronic tagging and imagining a world in which access to specific places was granted or refused by a central computer.
Yeah, often thought about it during the last days and weeks. I also looked up again what you wrote about viruses.
It's only a few lines, mostly in 1,000 plateaus. For example, uh, we form a rhizome with our viruses, or rather, our viruses cause us to form a rhizome with other animals.
The famous rhizome. Unfortunately, this was quoted so often that one has a hard time understanding what it actually means.
Well, it belonged to the things that Felix and I took from our discussion of the modern life sciences, in particular molecular biology. In the 1970s, the great biologist François Jacob talked about genetic fragments that might be transferred by viruses, about transversal connections between species, subverting the model of the tree and of filiation, and about the abominable couplings between microorganisms, animals, and humans.
You also write, we oppose epidemic to filiation, contagion to heredity, populating by contagion to sexual reproduction.
And we continue bands, human or animal, proliferate by contagion, epidemics, battlefields, and catastrophes. You see, all of this is not very peaceful because epidemics combine and confront rather different things. For example, a human being, an animal and a bacterium, a virus, a molecule, a microorganism. The rhizome is a biological and sociological phenomenon, but it is also a technological reality. Today, contact tracing apps are part and parcel of the corona rhizome, which also means it includes mobiles, radio towers, computers, algorithms, and so on and so forth.
Still, I'm missing something.
Uh, you mean physicians and politicians? They are also part of it. Rhizomes can be rather extended and complex.
Well, that's precisely not my point. And I'm also not referring to the dark side of these assemblages. You do account for it, for example, when you highlight the fact that in an epidemic, nature operates against itself. You even say, we evolve and die more from our polymorphous and rhizomatic flus than from hereditary diseases.
So, what do you miss?
A reflection about the conditions under which rhizomes can emerge at all, or an idea about how the encounters they are based upon became possible. In the case of the coronavirus, there has to be at least the virus itself, animals and human beings, but then there has to be a market where they get in touch and a city where this rhizome can be extended, including streets, bikes, cars, planes, and so on.
Sure, eventually you need something like the integrated, or rather integrating world capitalism in order to have all of this actually functioning together.
And then I wonder if we could do something against this.
It's not easy. One of the first steps might be what I mentioned in the beginning: stay at home. By this simple measure, we protect ourselves against contagion, but also against universal communication and the control technologies of the present age. I always was convinced that the crucial movements were intensive voyages in place. Did you know? Eventually, the nomad is one who does not depart, does not want to depart, who clings to the smooth space.
Well, I somehow do like to move and to travel, but okay for now. I'm going home and will think about what you said.
And I'm going to get me a new mobile.